Are the tariffs too high? Is that how economics work? Let's tariff things. See, the cool thing about this game is this is an economics game. This has like things you make get crystallized into money. Like all things are measured in time. So even if you look at and that's like if you've read Das Kapital, and yes, I have read at least the first book. And that's the big thing. That's the big take on it, is that everything's measured in time. And if you want a good economy, you do things that are time efficient, right? But that then at some point gets translated to money. So let's say alcohol let's say it's $1 an hour. It costs, $1 an hour, whatever, okay? That would take 324 hours to make 1 ton of alcohol, whereas it would take 826 hours to make 1 ton of aluminum. But you correct for things like knowledge and stuff too. So if we look at electronics, like $1,300 per ton, right? Now, if you added up the materials here, that like each component that makes the electronics, this sells for more because you have to add time. Like this laptop or whatever or computer you're watching is probably marked up at least 2 or 3 times the time cost of all the components. And then there's the layer. Then you get to the finance and the money side of things, where there's scarcity. People will say, well, supply and demand is the thing that dictates price. That's purely what it is. And the problem with that view is if you purely subscribe to that philosophy, and it is true in some, like in nature, it's somewhat true. Scarcity in nature, supply demand works in nature, but in many markets, if the dollar dictates what you do, you have motivation to create scarcity, right? So that's why taxing the rich is a scam. Like, it's a scam by rich people, and it does not help the economy. It's just because what it does is it incentivizes wealthy people to have more money, and then they now have the opportunity to, instead of creating more competition in, say, building houses, they will spend that money to create, food delivery services, Uber, a lot of services, maybe go to sporting events, just higher end things that, you don't need. They're not necessities, but they will put capital into it to serve their interests. And that has 2 negative effects. So the reason it's bad for the economy is because competition in a free market, you want as much competition as possible. So you don't just want to have, a small set of people building houses. If you instead had a few more people building houses, then what you'd be able, there'd be more supply, right? The supply goes up, the price therefore goes down. But anyone who's like middle class or richer, the stuff they need is it's surplus stuff, and they want that, right? So that's getting developed while the competition at the lower end of the market isn't getting developed. So if the lower end competition isn't there, and the higher end is serving the needs of the wealthy, by the numbers, once you get into like the yachts and the supercars, like if you think about like buy a $2 million vehicle, that's multiple houses that were traded off for time, right? Everything's measured in time. So you can't just say it's trickle down. The people who built that car, or the money they got, can then be used on something else. That's not economics. That's actually just nonsense, because the time was used. Time's finite. You can't add another bonus free time in the trickle down step. That's why it doesn't work, right? You get one. Think of it as a snapshot of the economy. At any given time, if you're serving, the higher end of the market, which most of the businesses do, like probably, 70% of the businesses serve, 10% of the people, right? It's just or in terms of revenue generation. So when you give tax breaks to the rich, that means all they can do is they grow the higher end markets. Like they don't invest in things like more houses. They have money, so they invest in the houses as assets. So they don't want the prices to go down. So they're to ensure they remain rich. They'd rather not contribute to the market that would help poorer people. The general gist of it is trickle down economics don't work. That the best way to make the market as efficient as possible, so that like it should be one for one. Everyone should be able to eat. Everyone should have a place to sleep. Everyone should have some water to drink. Clean water. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That should be taken care of. And if that's taken care of, and that's one of the points of this game, like you see the happiness of people here, right? Like if you got all their needs taken care of, like 51% is not good enough. Like if you look at them, the average productivity of 30%. Like what are they doing? Are they streaming videos and not building bridges? That could be it, right? That's what happens when if they're not motivated enough. There's if you were to take care of everyone and at the very least match them to their skill, because like some of the most brilliant people I've ever met are not rich people. Like I'll say on average, rich people are smarter than most people, but it's not a straight line, and there are some very dumb rich people, and I can't think of a single person like anything they've ever said or done that's worth $1 billion. Like Jesse Ventura is right. There should be no billionaires. That's just scamming. That's lying to the public to say trickle down economics makes sense. Give it to me, and then what do you build? Rockets? I don't know. Like maybe vehicles. Okay, but what are the price of those vehicles? Are they very competitive? Like could a guy who can't afford a coffee machine buy one of these things eventually? Like if you're just serving the high-end market with all that money, you're proving it doesn't work. You're just proving you're just taking money. So if that's the case, tax the crap out of rich people. That's the solution. And you like I would put prior to Reagan, prior to 1980, the top marginal tax rate was anywhere between 70 and 92%. It was very high. So we need to return to that. We need to return to business licenses being contingent on your business operating in like the territory you're in. So if you're in Canada or you're in the US or wherever, that company's headquarters is located there if you want your license. If it's not located there, you can't do business. We'll bring in someone else who's a little less greedy, right? I have the skills to make Facebook. I know how to do it. I actually I've developed platforms like it, but I wasn't given trickle down free government money like other people were. At some point, all money starts out as public. That's just how it goes. Money's not like if it is privately printed, there are some issues, and we don't know for sure. Like that's a reason for crypto in the future because you can kind of track what's going on, but the printed money system is not 100% controllable. But either way, in terms of taxation, you would you're better off to increase the top marginal tax rates go way up, and it'd be over if you make over 10 million a year, maybe, right? Not like if you're listening to this and you're like, I make 200,000 a year and I work hard for that. You might just barely be touched by that because you're not that rich. Like you're just barely cracking into. If you took all the people that took 200,000 a year, and everyone poorer than that, 40% of the total wealth is richer than you. Those are the real problems, right? So you ensure you have licenses. Like you can't have to have a license to operate. You have to pay taxes in the jurisdiction. That would be the other thing. So top individual marginal tax rates, requirements of being in the jurisdiction. None of this offshoring shenanigans stuff.